right, we are here back at the Coaches Spotlight. I'm Nelson Maxwell, Associate Athletic Director here at Drew School. I'm here with Sarah Swanger. Just to give a brief introduction of Sarah, Sarah is currently a competitive runner. She's a former college athlete, a licensed clinical social worker, mental performance coach, and most of all, a mother of two. Sarah, how are you doing?
I'm well, thanks. Thanks for asking me to come chat today, Nelson.
Yeah. Also, cross-country program director and track and field program director here for us. Is this your third year?
It is, I think.
Third year.
It's like 2.5. 3 for track.
Okay, nice. Before we get started into these questions, I just have to say, like, I met you in the middle of your pregnancy.
Yeah.
And it's crazy when I think back to it. Like, you were running with me and Ronan Stewart, who graduated from here. And, like, you're fully pregnant, like, running with us, beating us.
Yeah.
It's crazy to think about. It's just crazy to think about sometimes.
It's a little wild to have lived through it, too.
Yeah.
But that's what I was kind of in it for. I was can I really do this?
Yeah.
And, the answer was yes.
Yeah.
Mothers can do incredible things. Women are amazing.
Yeah, we'll dive into that a little bit more later. But first, let's get started at the beginning. You grew up in San Francisco. Tell me a little about growing up here.
I grew up in the Mission right off of Dolores Park until I was about 10.
Okay.
Then my family moved to the Inner Sunset, which is where I still live now. I returned to that neighborhood in my late 20s, and I saw a quote on one of my running teammates' social media that I think I identify with really strongly, and it was Golden Gate Park is my entire personality.
Awesome.
And that's me.
Awesome. And you also graduated from SF Waldorf. Any enjoyable experiences you can share with us about there? Or?
Yeah, I did. I was there for a long time, K through 12, maybe a little too long. Okay. And it was a small school. I think Drew students probably get what I mean by that. But one thing that was really wonderful is being at a small school with such an enriching curriculum and so many opportunities to participate and learn. I never had to pigeonhole myself, and I got to do everything. So I was really into arts and theater and music as well as sports. And I don't know if I would have gotten that opportunity to really commit and involve myself in so many different facets of the school if it had been a bigger school.
That leads us right into my next question. I was going to say, tell us a little bit about Sarah as a teenager.
For one thing, I'm not sure I can tell you that much about Sarah as a teenager. But I did everything.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of fun. And I worked hard. I loved being involved. I loved being social. I loved being competitive. I loved getting attention. And I think I was a pretty happy young person. I had some stuff go down in high school that I wish had been handled differently, and I think that had a big effect on the adult I became, in that it really motivated me to become a supportive adult for young people navigating schools and all of life's challenges. And I want to be there to support folks maybe in a way that I didn't feel like I was supported.
Yeah, well, we're super, super glad that you're here at Drew with us.
Thanks.
And I believe 100% that you're a hard worker and competitive in high school because, guys, Sarah's a beast now, man. Sarah's a beast. What all sports were you playing in high school?
So I played volleyball, basketball, cross country, and track for school, and then I was also a USTA tennis player.
Okay.
And that's actually when I entered college. That was my college sport to begin with, was tennis.
Wow, so you switched.
Yeah. I went back to running. It is more of a natural fit for my personality and socially. You know how every sport sort of has a different vibe or a different draw. And I was just much more at home with track and field than with the tennis girls.
Hell yeah. Before we move on, I want to say, because you mentioned just growing up in San Francisco.
Yeah.
That must have been fun. I grew up in Ohio.
Yeah.
And living now in the city, this place is so different than Cleveland, Ohio. So I can't imagine being a high schooler in this city.
Well, we're well matched for that because then I went to college right outside of Cleveland, Ohio. So I certainly know what you're talking about. But Yeah, I got to go to high school on Valencia Street when burritos were still $6.
Hell yeah.
And we had off-campus lunch, and we would just like cruise from one scenic location to another with our burritos, chilling. It was a really fun place to be a teenager.
I can imagine.
I didn't learn how to drive until I was 25 because I took the bus everywhere.
Yeah. That's another. Before I moved here, like I never took the bus. Like Cleveland is so spread out.
No.
Like, I never took the bus, and then I didn't have a car here for 4 years. I just got a car because the commuting, the bus is so easy. I had a bike.
Right.
Just bombing hills down in San Francisco.
Yeah, you didn't need a car, and we don't have winter.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, you briefly mentioned it, but you went to college a little bit outside of Cleveland. You want to tell them where you went to school?
I'm a proud alumni of Oberlin College in Oberlin, Ohio, 30 minutes due west of Cleveland, Lorain County. It's a wonderful school with a really rich history and Division III sports, which was really perfect for me. So I was able to, with very little pre-planning, but some, walk into college, playing sports, playing tennis, like I mentioned, which I did enjoy, but I also think I wanted to explore myself and explore learning a little bit more on the front end in college. So I, after my freshman year, stopped playing tennis, and it was my junior year after I met the track and field coach through like a fitness class, and he recruited me to come back out, that I started running again junior and senior year.
Awesome. And did you, going into college, did you know what you wanted to do as far as studying or career?
No, definitely not. And sometimes I wish I had a better sense of it, but that wouldn't have been my story. Right? And Oberlin was a great school to just learn. And I ended up studying philosophy, which makes a lot of sense for me. I was really seeking, and I'll always be somebody who loves asking questions and gathering information from all these different perspectives and like kind of weaving them together, layering them, and seeing how things fall, and that's effect on truth and knowledge and purpose and being and all of these, kind of heady things. So philosophy was super fun, and I studied a little art history and geology too.
Awesome. And I'll say, any advice to juniors or seniors, especially maybe you're a junior, senior athlete right now, like going into college, navigating this time, when you're about to enter into school,
Yeah, I mean, I think if you do have like a idea of what you want to be studying or doing, like definitely go for it. You will have a jump start on a lot of folks who find that later, but also if you don't sweat it. It's a great time to continue to explore who you are and what makes you happy and what is interesting to you. Because I'm finding now, and we'll circle back around to it later, but like coaching and the mental performance coaching that I do is nothing that I saw in my teens or 20s for myself. But now it like makes so much sense, and it merges my professional background with my personal passions and my life history. And I just couldn't have found that earlier. It had to happen organically. So like just explore and learn, but put yourself out there. That's my advice.
I love that answer. I'll just double down on that. Like, definitely just explore, man. I was just listening to an interview yesterday, and the guy was just saying, like, bro, try everything. Like, try everything. And even if you don't like certain things, like, you'll pick up these little skills from stuff that you just tried that will, in your end goal, will be useful, so.
Totally, or even just in terms of, like, confidence. Like, having had this experience playing tennis my freshman year exposed me to the athletics facility, so that when 3 years later I was interested in getting back into athletics, I had this confidence that I belonged there, or I knew it there already, so I could walk back in the door and feel like I belonged.
Definitely. All right. Being a college athlete, words, thoughts. I was a former college athlete. I'm a huge just advocate for playing college athletics. Man, it helped me so much, just like those first years in college, just like find people, and like it just like gave me a structure to go into in college. So I don't know, any thoughts towards college
You know,
athletics?
so for me, it was almost the opposite. It was like I started in sports, but that wasn't where I was finding my people. So I took a step back because I then started finding my people, and I like wanted to lean into that too. But the structure and the discipline and those things, like that, by my junior year of college, I really needed that. And it was a blessing that the track program was there for me because it got me back on track, pun intended. But and it set me up to actually be ready for the real world 2 years later when I graduated. And I think like I had a lot of learning disabilities and neurodivergent, and like I didn't flourish in the classroom, but having things like music or sports to help me develop my sense of self-efficacy and form a sense of identity that's really like much more positive than if I was just looking at myself in the classroom. And like college did that for me too, in a way that was helpful to have my head held high when I graduated in 2009 into a recession when there were no jobs, like no housing, and we just spent all of this time and money and hard work on this education that really got us nothing when we graduated. And I think having like the resilience, perseverance, and tenacity that I learned from being a college athlete is what got me through those tough times.
100%. 100%. Still, like my toughest times today, like even if it's just a tough day going into work, like I think back to my college athletic days and like think about those tough times and the discipline I had during that time, and it fuels me like oh, I know I can do this because like.
And that's the one thing I will say though, like going into it, is it's a lot of time.
It is. It is a lot of time.
It's a lot of your time.
For sure.
And it's worth it, I think. Yeah,
for sure. As we both know, large part of athletics is the mental game.
Sure is.
You do some mental performance coaching. Any advice for our athletes listening to this, dealing with, the mental side of the game, mental side of athletics?
Yeah, I mean, don't sleep on it. Pay attention to what's happening for you physically, emotionally, and mentally before, during, after. I mean, and then you can like break that down into all these microcosms. I think people are really into the idea of like getting into the flow now, especially up in the Bay when we've been watching Stephen play for so long. But that's and the idea of flow and vibration are things that I really can get into. I know it's a little woo-woo for plenty of people. That's fine. Like miss out on that. There's this thing that you can learn in sports about being present that is kind of magical, and that's something I spend a lot of time working and talking about with my athletes. And it's like, how do you let go of what just happened before and what's going to happen next, or the outcome that you're striving for, to like really just be in the moment. I think like basketball, that's like such a thing. Tennis, that's such a thing. Running, the moment is so long. It can be hard to delineate what's before and what's right now. But even just being curious about things like that, or what's triggering you, what's making you nervous. Do you have baggage you're bringing with you onto the court? And taking stock of your emotional, mental, and physical well-being. Maybe like journaling around it, meditating. There's just a lot of tools that we can be incorporating as athletes that will propel our game, and also just like give us a more stacked tool belt. Or something that we talk about in running too, Courtney DeWalter, who is like the goat of ultramarathoning, talks about having a file cabinet, and it's partially based on her experiences. So like when she gets to the pain cave, she'll go to her file cabinet and figure out how to dig herself out of the pain cave based on past learnings and things that she's learned from other people. I love that visual.
Man, free game here. Free game. Free game. Hope that our athletes are listening. These are some good answers. All right.
But there was actually one other thing you made me think of was around the challenges and the perseverance. And I've been thinking about this so much lately for my own running. But like, why do we do these hard things? And why do we take on these big commitments? And I think when we create challenges for ourselves intentionally in life, and then we prove to ourselves that we can overcome them. It helps us makes us feel more prepared for the unseen challenges that are going to arise in our lives.
100%, for sure. We'll circle back to that, so keep that in mind. I don't want to butcher this, but you ran in a women's 100 by 1 mile relay.
I sure did.
You did it while how many months pregnant?
5.5.
5.5 months pregnant. This was a Guinness World Record.
It was.
Super, super, super dope. Tell us a little about that.
Right around the time when I got my job here, I was training for the SF half marathon. Didn't know I was pregnant yet. And I started hearing the rumblings of that there was going to be this women's 1 mile relay attempt to set a world record. And I was like, I'd love to get in on that. Have my name in a history book. Who doesn't want that? And so I kept my ear to the ground. And when the time came, I saw an email come out to my team, and I jumped on the opportunity. We do live in a place in San Francisco, so the times that they needed were approximately 5 minutes and 37 seconds per runner to beat this record. We happen to live in a place where there are so many fast ladies from high school through women in their 70s that we can easily come up with 100 women who can do that. But they also wanted some diversity in the squad. So we had some really speedy high school, college, and adult runners who were able to go significantly faster than 5:37, which allowed for some runners like myself and some older runners who have done this record attempt 3 times in their life since they were 17, another time 76, pretty tight.
So that allowed you guys to have a little bit more time.
Right. So I ran it in 6:18, which I'm a little shy to say now because it's certainly not my fastest mile time by a long shot. But having done that when I was 5.5 months pregnant in the competitive setting was an amazing feeling.
Bro, I'm telling you, when I look back on it, I don't think I was processing it at the time, but we were fully out there on the track and field.
We were
Every
moving.
practice, you were running with us. That was dope. That was a dope experience. I hope I can help out with the track and field team.
I know we miss you. It'll be fun. You can make it out a couple of times.
It was super fun, and it helps me stay in shape as well. So it was dope.
One thing about the relay, though, I must say, because I'm a truth speaker, is we actually did have to give our world record back to Canada this summer because that's who we keep chasing this relay record with. There was a team in Tennessee that tried to take it from the San Francisco women. They did not succeed, but Canada, props to you. You got it for a minute. We'll get it back, though.
You guys have plans to get it back?
I hope somebody does. If not, I'll make them.
Okay. All right. What's next? I think you just did a race this
I did.
past weekend, but tell us about that one and any other races that are coming up.
Well, so in the toddler swimming class, I met my new coach, who is a world-class runner. It was the most serendipitous thing that happened. She's truly cut from a different cloth than most human beings. The way this woman runs around with both of her kids in a double stroller, dropping mile times like the one that I ran in that relay. And so she coaches some pretty incredible athletes, and I'm really lucky to be one of them these days. So I am training for the California International Marathon CIM. I think my eye just started to twitch a little bit as I thought about it. And that'll be my first full marathon. So I've actually never done that 26.2. I love a half marathon. And on my way to the full, I will run a half, but I won't race it full out. So that's another goal that I still have on the table. I want to go faster than 90 minutes, sub 90 and a half sometime this year. Maybe I'll revisit that Kaiser half marathon now that I'm not pregnant and try to crush there again. And I decided while I was coaching cross country, I should walk the talk, and I hopped in a couple of races this fall with my team, Excelsior Running Club, and I'm running cross country too.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
It's hard.
That's awesome. Yeah. So that is a perfect segue. What's keeping you motivated? What keeps you motivated? You're you're saying you've never ran a full marathon before.
Well, I'm sort of a late bloomer. I was a sprinter high school, college. I ran the 400 and the 200, track and field. I love it. I just like love the feeling flying around the track. I swear there's like a magical energy that comes off that red rubber. And then in my 20s after college, I was like a little lost as a runner. I didn't find community, so I was just like casually running with friends. And after I had Beckett, my first son, I had like a pretty tough labor and delivery, and I could barely walk for 2 weeks after that. And I was really not sure if that's what the rest of my life was going to feel like. It was just like not being strong anymore. And it was pretty hard to dig myself out of that hole the first time around. But then I just kept going, and I like really reconnected with my love of running, and the way it makes me feel like physically, just moving through space and time, being outside so much physically, just pushing myself to the edge, the way I feel when it's happening, the way I feel afterwards, getting over the hump of getting myself out the door. Like there's just so many parts of it, and the more I got into it again, the more I just threw myself down the rabbit hole. And I also had this feeling the whole time that I was doing the right thing, that I was in the right place, and that I was following the right path, and more opportunities like this job, like that relay, like my team, like my coach, like doors just keep opening on their own. And for the first time, I'm not having to like fight tooth and nail for every opportunity I get. And there's something about this energetic shift that just feels right. So I'm flowing in life.
That's awesome. That's super awesome. And to go back to what you said a little bit earlier, just like now at the point in our lives, like still being able to feel like you're like, you know, taking something down, accomplishing something, like having a adversity in front of you and overcoming it.
Right.
That like that still feeds me.
I mean, we think, you know, like teens, like they get to have fears about life and getting older, but turns out like that doesn't go away as you get older. So feeling strong, feeling prepared is almost more important to me now than ever. And when I run, I get to like rewrite my story in some ways. And especially when I look back at this high school stuff, and I internalized these really negative beliefs about myself that were never true. But I held on to them for a long time. And my running shows me this other side of myself that is without a doubt true, and that I cultivate. And I also want to be a lifelong learner and a grower, and never stop challenging myself. I want to see it like I will be 40 really soon, and I want to take these next couple of years to become the best runner I've ever been. So in my 40s, I can just go crush in the Masters division. And I think still being excited to get older and just like have new experiences and new challenges makes being an adult cool. And feel like I'm still a kid in a lot of ways, and just make those words like lose a lot of their power. Yeah,
for sure. That's beautiful. And that resonates with me, because I was still when I'm working out or I'm playing basketball, like not to be dramatic, but like I'm fighting demons sometimes. You know, like I'm fighting mental demons in my head, like you saying, just like doubts and fears, voices in your head. Like each time I work out, something about working out and like challenging myself physically, like it helps me just battle. Like I feel like I'm in like this like spirit mode. And I'm really just like battling these negative things. So definitely resonates.
And we're like choosing to connect with this other part of ourselves, in engaging in these difficult physical tasks.
Yeah, for sure. That got deep, but for sure.
Sorry. We went there.
All right, kind of to wrap up, favorite part and worst part about living in San Francisco. We'll start with favorite part about living in San Francisco.
I mean, I think it's still the burritos and the hilltops. And Golden Gate Park, those things. Burritos, chilling on hilltops, Golden Gate Park, and
Okay.
Those are they.
Okay. Worst part.
Temperate weather.
Yeah.
Worst part, I mean, I think there's like a lot of tropes about why San Francisco sucks these days. None of those affect me too much, because I feel like I still know where like the good is here, and I can avoid a lot of like the tech world hasn't consumed my existence. So I think it's really homogenous. It's really expensive. I think a lot of our creatives and communities of color were forced out. Since I was young, the city looks really different. It feels really different, and that's kind of an undeniable truth. But I also don't want to like let that narrative be the one that wins, because I think there's still are a lot of amazing communities, creatives, cool things going on here, and that's what I want to like give voice to. Yeah,
great answer. Last thing, I know you got 2 little ones at home, you got a husband, and your parents are living in San Francisco. So any words to your family watching at home?
Honestly, like, thank you guys for letting me run so much. I know it's not easy. Like, it's just not easy. My husband has to watch both kids. My mom comes over so I can come to work. You know, my mom in her mid-70s, she's watching those toddlers so I can come coach. And it like really takes a whole team, and I'm so grateful, and I really want to make them proud. And I hope that I'm doing that, because I'm so proud to be their mom and feel so grateful to have the parents that I have and the partner that I have. I just want to be as good to them as they are to me.
That's awesome. Sarah, that was a great interview. That was dope. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nelson.
Hope you guys tune in. See you next time.
Drew Cross Country.
Yes, sir.